Good Tuesday evening. Welcome to this week's weekly weather briefing, our last weekly weather briefing, believe it or not, for the month of July. I would have recorded on this past weekend like I usually would do on a Saturday if I had to pick a day out of the weekend, but it has been very busy lately, so unfortunately, I have not been able to get around to record a weekly weather briefing, but I'm going to now, as you can tell, and it's actually coming just in time. I'm rather this come now than me do it on this past Saturday because we might have a couple of rough storms move through on Thursday night and early Friday morning, and I'm glad that it is a little bit closer to that date than it would have been on Saturday, so I have a little bit of a better idea on the dynamics for Thursday night and early Friday morning. We'll get to that here in just a minute. Right now, things are quiet this afternoon. We had some very slow moving summertime thunderstorms. You know how they were. Your neighbor can pick up dry bones, whereas you get an inch of rainfall or more, and even some pockets could see very brief uh, flash flooding. So it's always something with this time of the year. Sometimes these can occasionally produce downbursts, which is where we see basically the thunderstorm collapsing. Whatever comes up must come down. That rule of science is always going to remain. And so all of that wind and all of that energy going into the thunderstorm has got to come down, or it's got to fade out at some point, and that's where we call it a downburst. It all comes down and it spreads outward once it hits the surface and can cause some pretty extensive wind damage. We actually saw a downburst of wind that occurred in the Wabash County area. That was in Illinois just a couple of days ago, with some summertime, just heat of the day scattered thunderstorms that happened to form. We fortunately missed out on those storms, but these afternoon storms, they are just they take on a life of themselves. They never really move in a particular direction. They all kind of meander around in the same area, which is why we could see flash flooding, torrential rainfall, tropical light downpours, cloud to ground lightning, gusty winds that could be life threatening if you're not careful. And very, very rarely we see some hail or some isolated tornadoes. But at this time of the year, it's hard to get either one of those two. But the rest of those components, it doesn't take much at all with the amount of energy that we have in the atmosphere to work with. Now, once we go to the rest of the week, we're going to begin to see some severe weather parameters where levels start to ramp up, and we'll take a look at that here in just a minute. But temperatures today, they didn't get too hot because of the clouds and precipitation this afternoon really holding down those temperatures. We did see a little spike right after those storms before the sun setted this evening, and then now they are already on their way down. Will we see any more heat waves in the near future, or are we looking at a cool down? We'll look at that also towards the end of the video, so stick around for that. As you can tell right here, this is painting that green from these afternoon thunderstorms that occurred this afternoon. Once we get towards tomorrow afternoon, this would be on Wednesday afternoon, we're looking at maybe a small chance, around a 30% chance or less of an afternoon heat of the day thunderstorm, but we're not looking at a whole lot of lift tomorrow as compared to what we had today. Today we had a stationary boundary that you'll see on a map here in just a few minutes that was really the ignitement for the sparks for these showers and thunderstorms that formed this afternoon. Really, we won't have anything that will ignite those storms tomorrow, but basically the heat of the day, a little bit here and there, an updraft here and there that might form, and a cumulus cloud will tower up to a cumulonimbus cloud and form a thunderstorm. So those are just the kind of heat of the day, very, very, very spotty and isolated in nature. So they're very hard to, as far as where they could end up being. We can't really predict where these individual storms are going to set up at in these kind of setups. But once we get towards Thursday night, you can tell here's that cold front, an area of low pressure attached to it. It's also hard at this time of the year to get cold fronts to come all the way down from Canada, which is where this one is coming from. So it's good news in that it's coming this far south. When you do get on this far south, then you have a lot of less humid and very cooler air welcomed in behind that cold front. So when these do come through, especially at this time of the year where historically this is our warmest and hottest time of the year, it's very welcome. So that is good news that it is coming down this far and will survive, and it will actually go pretty close to the Gulf Coast. So this is a strong cold front that we're working with, so that means that we're going to have to pay the price in order to get that cooler and less humid weather. We're going to have to pay the price for some showers and thunderstorms, which we well deserve because we have not had hardly anything in parts of the weather department here lately. Just a lot of hot weather and sunshine. Once we get towards Thursday night, early Friday morning, late Thursday night, early Friday morning, this will be 6 a.m. The GFS model is showing those showers and thunderstorms already have pushed through our area, kind of in the middle of them. Once we get towards around noon on Friday, the GFS still paints precipitation in the area. I think we might see a meandering shower or two around or just briefly after sunrise on Friday morning, but I don't think we'll have to worry about anything as far as in regards to the rest of the day on Friday when it comes to rainfall. You can't ever rule out a spotty shower, but the more organized weather will be associated with that cold front, which would have already moved down south of us by Friday afternoon. Once we get towards Saturday, the weekend, we're already looking at that welcomed cool and less humid air, that high pressure coming out of Canada, these blue H's that we love to see. Unless they're a ridge of high pressure, that means that we would have hot weather and dry conditions. That's what we had last week, and a reason because of all of that hot and dry weather. And then once we get towards Sunday, still that very less humid, cool atmosphere is going to be sticking around. So not only is this going to be a very strong cold front pushing through and a very cool air mass coming this far south, but this is going to stick around for a few days. This is not just going to be a one-day treat. This is going to be a multiple day cool down. So this is going to be something that we really haven't seen in a while. If I show you what the 500 millibar height anomaly looks like, this is basically showing you where the troughing and the ridging is occurring. Once we get towards around the end of the week, you begin to see that blue show up in our region, and that is signaling to us that we will have cooler weather moving into the region, and even a cutoff low associated with it at times could help bring in a lot cooler weather right behind it on the northwest flow. And looking beyond this weekend, it looks like most of next week, if the GFS is correct, will end up being kind of average. Nothing too hot, nothing too cold, but really right around 90 degrees each day, upper 80s, low 90s. That's where we should be at for this time of the year. Let's go ahead and look at what we have to get through before we get to the cool weather, and that is a heat advisory that is in effect just for tomorrow on Wednesday, but that does include most of my forecast counties. That includes Graves, McCracken, the Mississippi and Ohio River counties of western Kentucky, the Purchase area, and then not Benton, but Marshall County and Callaway County are the two counties in the Purchase region that are not in effect of this heat advisory, but really anywhere in the Purchase region is going to experience the exact same effects, which is actual air temperatures around the mid-90s and heat index values approaching or exceeding 105. So we've been through this. We actually went through hotter conditions last week, so this is going to be a breeze. We just got to get through tomorrow. This isn't some extended heat wave. This is just a brief warm-up, and then we will cool back down to actually below normal temperatures. If we look at where that stationary front was at today, you can tell that's why we had that green painted there. That was a little bit of lift that was associated, a little bit of ignitement for those showers and thunderstorms. That was the reasoning behind the extensive coverage of showers and thunderstorms that we had this afternoon. Once we get towards tomorrow, though, you begin to see that stationary boundary begins to approach portions of central and eastern Kentucky, begins to move out of our area, so it will lose focus in our region for showers and thunderstorms. Not to say we couldn't have a shower or storm or two, but the coverage of them is not going to be that extensive at all. And if we go to Thursday morning, a complex of thunderstorms and MCS will likely form ahead of this low pressure system on Wednesday evening, Wednesday afternoon, and will move across portions of Indiana and Ohio throughout Wednesday night and early Thursday morning. With that being said, it could leave a couple of outflow boundaries moving south, and that should be the ignitement, I believe, for showers and thunderstorms on Thursday evening, and then another MCS will form and move through our region Thursday afternoon and evening, and that will be the focus for showers and thunderstorms once we get towards our time frame for shower and thunderstorm activity. Late Thursday night, early Friday morning would be our main time frame of concern. We have a lot of moisture to work with, guys, a lot of moisture to work with the Thursday night storms. This is associated with a cold front, like I've already mentioned, but go ahead and look at that. This would be for 9 p.m. on Thursday evening. PWatt values, which is basically measuring an entire column in the atmosphere and is basically squeezing all of that moisture into that column. And you can tell some of these colors, some of these contours are some of the highest bright colors on this key. So some extensive amounts of moisture will be available for us in the atmosphere. If I want to, I'm going to show you the future radar for this time frame as well. And once we get towards Thursday evening, we're going to see possibly a line of thunderstorms or maybe some scattered strong storms form along that cold front, and then that will begin to drift and move southward overnight, dropping a lot of heavy rain because you just saw how much moisture is going to be available with these storms. This is for Wednesday afternoon right here. Like I said, a couple of afternoon thunderstorms can't be ruled out, but the coverage of them will be more off towards our east associated with that lift that will be with that stationary boundary. Here's that MCS that I said would form on Wednesday evening. You can tell it moves across most of the central Midwest throughout Wednesday night and early Thursday morning, but could leave some outflow boundaries for us on Thursday afternoon, and that would be the ignitement right there for showers and thunderstorms to form. Hopefully not in a line, but if we do see a line, damaging winds, very small hail, and then torrential light downpours, cloud to ground lightning are going to be the main concerns with this event. And then it will begin to move through. By the time we wake up Friday morning, I'm hoping and I expect this complex of storms to already be out of our area. I want to start showing you guys these maps right here. This map is going to be a lot better for you guys to kind of see not only the trend in the temperatures, but I'm usually just showing you the high temperatures for the next week. This will just be from now through Saturday because I should be recording another briefing for Saturday afternoon. But as you can tell here, you can tell the trend, that cooling trend, and then you can see the upward trend, and then kind of just leveling off and meandering around that 90-degree mark. So I do expect that we're going to see more average conditions for this time next week, but we have to get through this brief warm-up just for tomorrow. You can also see these low temperatures, and that's something I haven't been showing you. Possibly, I don't think we'll get into the upper 50s, but low to mid 60s is going to feel good enough for this time of the year. And if we look at the rainfall over the next week, you can tell that we're going to be looking at mainly between a ½ inch to an inch of rain. That is going to be mainly associated with that cold front on Friday morning and or late Thursday night. So besides that, it looks like most of this week is going to be quiet. We just have to get through this brief warm-up for tomorrow. And then early on Thursday morning, we have those late Thursday night, early Friday morning is what I meant to say. We should begin to expect that shower and thunderstorm activity ramping up and possibly turning severe. That's one last thing that I did want to show you guys was what the Storm Prediction Center was showing for their outlook on Thursday. I believe, yes, this would be Thursday. Thursday, yes, Thursday. This is their outlook for Thursday right here. And they do have a marginal threat once this loads right here of severe weather in our region. Now, whether this will be upgraded to a slight risk, right now it looks like they're thinking the most organized severe weather is going to be off to our east, but I do believe that we will begin to see maybe a little bit more organized severe weather in our region. A severe thunderstorm or two can't be ruled out, but as far as a full-on severe weather outbreak, I do not believe that is going to occur. But damaging winds, straight line winds are always a possibility with this time of the year. This is nothing out of the ordinary, but I just wanted to give you guys a heads up and a heads up on this cooler trend that is going to be moving into our region for this upcoming weekend. I should be available on Saturday to record another weekly weather briefing, so hopefully I will see you then. But until then, enjoy this brief warm-up and then a very sharp cool down coming in for our region.